The New England Patriots just had their worst season in 3 decades, but there's a lot of reasons to think this slump won't last long.
I think we're ready to kick butt.
Welcome in, happy to have you here. I'm Jesse McNamara, and welcome to Point of View. Before we get into it today, I just want to say we always appreciate your feedback and look forward to reading your comments like the one we've got here. Also, be sure to stay tuned to the end of this episode to see if you can guess today's trivia question down below. To today's topic, are the Patriots as doomed going forward as they seem the last few years? I don't think so, and really, I think they have some easy decisions this offseason, but more on that later. But I get where the doom outlook comes from. They just won 4 games all of last season. They haven't done worse than that since 1992, when Hugh Millen was their leading passer and Dick McPherson was in his second and final season as head coach in the NFL. Now, for the most part, things have been going pretty well for the Patriots since then. They've won 6 Super Bowls and can claim they have the greatest football player to ever put pads on. 101% of fans would take that any day. But 5 full seasons have played out since their last Super Bowl, and there's almost no one left on that team from the dynasty. And when Bill Belichick went out the door back in January, it really felt like the end of the Patriots as we know them. Now, the Pats are stuck with 2 quarterbacks who, together, don't even equal 1 NFL starting QB, and a roster full of aging players, guys with injury issues, and just some players who can't hang with the best of them. While it all seems bleak, I really think there's reasons to be optimistic for the future. That doesn't mean Super Bowl or bust in 2024, but it doesn't have to be all misery in New England. First off, while it hurt to see him go, let's be honest with each other. It was time for Belichick to move on. He had done everything he possibly could for a franchise and more, and was then put in a position where it could be more difficult for any coach to find success. Did I mention Mac Jones and Bailey Zappe aren't very good? While ripping off that Band-Aid can be difficult, it's usually the right thing to do regardless of how it goes with the next coach. And they seem to have a good one in fan favorite Jerod Mayo. Here's Patriots owner Robert Kraft on the similarities between Belichick and the Mayo hires.
I just went with my instinct, and the only time I didn't was Bill Belichick in '96. After I saw what went on, I didn't hire him. I made another hire. But as I watched what happened, when he was with his next team, I realized I made a mistake. I should have gone with my instincts in '96, and I hired Bill. And that worked out pretty well. Well, I have the same feeling now, having watched Jerod for 16 years in a lot of different situations. I think we got someone very special.
If there's anyone left to trust in that organization, it's Robert Kraft. But a coach doesn't play the games, players do. And the players they have put them in the position they're in now. A ton needs to be overhauled, but there's still a solid base of players who deserve to stick around. Ramondre Stevenson is still just 25, showed he deserves to be the lead back, and carries a low cap hit of just over $3 million. Jabril Peppers may have been the best player on the team last season. Even J.C. Jackson made the most of his time on the field after being traded back to New England from LA. Those guys and a few others should stay, but the changes elsewhere need to be drastic. While incredibly difficult, the Patriots have a lot of resources to make those major changes. Here's Director of Scouting Elliot Wolf on their philosophy behind building out the roster.
The key is working backwards. So first we identify who the really good players are in the draft and in free agency, and we work backwards in terms of, do they fit what we want? Are they the type of person we want first and foremost? And then are they somebody that can fit in our scheme and do well? I have the fortune to work with Alex before, and I know what he looks for in players, and so I have a little bit of an advantage, even though he's technically new. But we continue to work with Jerod and determine the perfect profile of the Patriots players that we want.
With that in mind, here's what I think they should go about their offseason plan. First, you have to find a way to keep Kyle Duggar and Michael Onwenu, whether it be a new contract or using the franchise tag. They belong in red and blue. Then, you got to use your over $75 million worth of cap space to fill the biggest needs, namely the offensive line and tight ends. Options at O-line include Tyron Smith, Jonah Williams, or bringing back Trent Brown, though his relationship with the franchise may be strained after his critical comments in early January. Then, add either Dalton Schultz or Gerald Everett to replace Hunter Henry, and you have a place to start. Of course, though, all money runs out, and you're not going to get everyone you want in free agency. That's where the draft comes in, and the Pats are poised to make some noise. They hold the 3rd pick and the 34th pick, which is basically a late first rounder. They have so many options with that number 3 pick, it almost makes it more difficult, to be honest. Really, it'll come down to whether they just sign another QB in free agency similar to Cam Newton, or they go back to the draft to find their franchise QB. As long as they pick Williams or Daniels, I think they'll be happy using their pick on a QB. If they don't go that route, Marvin Harrison Jr. or Brock Bowers would be the flashy picks, but Joe Alt would be just as good. You follow that up with some depth picks, and you have a place for the new coaching staff to build off. His own players, his own coaching staff, his own team. That's really the only way a new, young head coach has a chance to make it in this league. So are the Patriots going to go back to being world beaters anytime soon? Straight up, no. But they aren't the team we saw in 2022 and 23. And with a solid offseason, they won't be an easy win for anyone anymore. I mentioned Jaden Daniels as a great option to push all of your franchise chips into as the starting QB. Be sure to check out our recent point of view to hear more on him. And the moment you've been waiting for, here's the answer to today's trivia question. We appreciate you tuning into this episode of Point of View, and we will see you in the next one.